One of the camper vans in this video is valued at over $500,000. And no, it's not covered in gold. It's covered in history. What's even crazier, most people don't even know it exists. From rolling mansions to teardrop time machines, we're diving into 9 vintage RVs that went from scrapyard material to collector royalty, and the story behind the rarest one will seriously shock you. Let's kick things off with a true classic, the Shasta Airflight. This beauty first hit the road in 1961, and let me tell you, she's still turning heads like it's prom night. With those signature wings on the back and that two-tone paint job, the Airflight looks less like a camper and more like a rolling jukebox from the golden age of road trips. Back then, it was just 16 feet long, basically the size of a parking spot, but it packed a punch. A dinette that turns into a bed, a little kitchen with a fridge and stove, and even a cozy couch that could sleep one more brave soul. In 2025, a mint-condition Shasta Airflight can smash that like button if you haven't done so already. But no, in all seriousness, in 2025, these Shasta Airflights can go for up to $35,000 to $50,000, depending on the restoration. That's more than some brand new modern trailers. But collectors go nuts for that original birchwood interior and those shiny chrome accents. It's not just a camper, it's a time machine with a trailer hitch. And yes, it still smells like grandma's apple pie. Ever seen a camper so small you wonder if it's just a fancy suitcase on wheels? Meet the Gidget Teardrop. This tiny legend may look like a cute little bug from the outside, but pop it open and bam, it's like a magician's trick. Born in Australia, the Gidget Teardrop first started gaining attention around 2014, blending vintage vibes with clever engineering. It's only about 10 feet long, but it slides out, literally, like a drawer, giving you a full queen-sized bed, a pop-up TV, a kitchen with a sink, stove, and even solar panels. Gidget wasn't just a camper, it was a revolution in tiny travel. People were shocked that something that small could hide so much. Some models even had a skylight over the bed so you could fall asleep under the stars without freezing to death. And today, a well-maintained Gidget can go for over $20,000 to $30,000, and that's if you can find one, because after the company went bust, they became collector gold. If a vintage train car and a spaceship had a baby in the 1930s, it would be the Huntouse Car. This thing looks like something Flash Gordon would have driven across the country. Built in 1937 by Hollywood cinematographer Roy Hunt, the Huntouse Car was way ahead of its time. It's long, sleek, and wrapped in shiny aluminum like a giant Airstream submarine on wheels. At nearly 40 feet long, it had real hardwood floors, a full kitchen, sleeping quarters, and even a bathroom, back when most people still thought indoor plumbing was a luxury. Only one was ever made, just one. And it still exists. Today, it's considered one of the earliest true examples of a luxury motorhome, and collectors drool over it like it's the holy grail of RVs. Experts estimate its value at over $500,000, maybe more if it ever went to auction. It's not just a camper, it's rolling Art Deco history. And let's be honest, it probably gets better gas mileage than a 2025 pickup. Imagine if a Swiss Army knife turned into a truck and decided to go camping. That's the Hanamag F20L Orion camper. This funky beast rolled out of Germany in the late 1960s and looked like it was built to survive the end of the world, in comfort. Based on the rugged Hanamag F20 truck chassis, it had the heart of a workhorse, but the soul of a hippie artist. It came with bold, boxy lines, a front grille that looked like it could chew through traffic, and a surprisingly cozy camper setup in the back. Inside, you'd find wood-paneled walls, a fold-out bed, a compact kitchenette, and just enough headroom to stand up if you were under 6 feet tall, or if you ducked a little. The Orion wasn't mass-produced, so surviving models are rare and extremely sought after. These days, a well-kept one can fetch upwards of $45,000 to $60,000, especially with the original German craftsmanship intact. Royal Windsor living wagon is like the Buckingham Palace of campervans, if the palace had wheels and a wood stove. Built in 1954 in the UK, this rolling cottage was designed for luxury travel at a time when most people still thought sleeping outdoors meant a damp tent and canned beans. The living wagon was handcrafted with polished wood interiors, stained glass windows, and velvet drapes. Yes, velvet in a camper. It was originally made for circus performers and traveling entertainers, so it had to be stylish and practical. Measuring around 22 feet long, it featured a full bedroom, a sitting area, and a coal-burning stove for heat, because central heating wasn't a thing yet. And why not be fancy while freezing? Only a handful of these were made, and even fewer have survived. Today, a restored Royal Windsor can sell for over $100,000, especially if it still has the original woodwork and quirky fixtures. It's basically what happens when glamping meets Royal Theatre on wheels. Compared to the long, luxurious RVs we've seen so far, the CJ5 Jeep Camper is like the scrappy little cousin who shows up to the family reunion in hiking boots and dares you to climb a mountain. Built off the legendary Jeep CJ5 in the 1960s and 70s, this thing wasn't about glamour, it was about grit. It came with a bolt-on camper shell that turned a rugged off-roader into a tiny mobile home, just big enough for two people who really like each other. The camper module included a small bed, some storage, and if you were lucky, a teeny kitchen setup with a stove and sink. The whole thing barely stretched past 12 feet, and yet it could go where most motorhomes would cry and turn around. Today, surviving CJ5 campers are rare collector items, fetching $25,000 to $40,000, and more if the 4x4 is still in good shape. What do you get when a car company famous for trucks decides to design a spaceship you can nap in? You get the GMC Motor Home. Launched in 1973, this wasn't your grandpa's RV. It looked like it came straight off a sci-fi movie set, with its smooth, futuristic curves and giant wraparound windows. Unlike most RVs at the time, which were just boxes on top of truck frames, the GMC Motor Home was built from the ground up as a complete unit, with a front-wheel drive setup borrowed from a Cadillac Eldorado and a massive 455 cubic inch V8 engine under the floor. It came in lengths of 23 or 26 feet, with low-slung suspension that made it ride more like a limo than a lumbering house. Inside, pure 1970s luxury, plush seating, shag carpet, and avocado-colored everything. Over 12,000 were made, but today, restored models can sell for $60,000 to $100,000, depending on the upgrades. If you've ever dreamed of traveling the open road without sacrificing your bathtub, the Highway Palace from 1949 had you covered, literally in wood paneling and chrome. This thing wasn't just a camper, it was a full-on luxury home squeezed onto a frame with wheels. Built right after World War II, when America was dreaming big, the Highway Palace was designed for folks who wanted to take the comforts of home with them, including furniture, full-sized beds, and sometimes even a chandelier. This rolling mansion stretched up to 40 feet long and was custom-built for wealthy travelers who wanted something more glamorous than a tent or even a trailer park stay. With only a handful ever made, these are practically mythical creatures in the RV world. If you can find one today, fully restored, you're looking at a value north of $150,000. Easy. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you liked the video so far. The Westcraft Coronado is like the vintage Airstream's artsy cousin who wears tweed jackets, drinks espresso, and knows how to fix a jukebox. Born in the late 1940s and early 50s, the Coronado was built by Westcraft, a company that didn't just make trailers, they crafted rolling masterpieces. They came in lengths up to 29 feet, with interiors that felt more like a retro living room than a travel trailer. Think mahogany cabinets, leatherette seating, and walls that looked like they belonged in a mid-century lounge. A fully restored Westcraft Coronado can go for $80,000 to $120,000, depending on originality and style. It's the kind of camper that makes people stop, stare, and say, "Wait, you live in that? Thanks for watching." Here's another video camping enthusiasts loved watching.